What's going on, Nasteey Nation? It's Nasteey, and in today's video I'll be answering some questions from some of you guys. If you have a question yourself about support or anything else really related to League of Legends or my channel, then be sure to join my Discord using the link in the description and submit your questions in the Questions for Nasteey channel. I'll be looking forward to seeing what questions you all have in store for me, but without further ado, let's get into the video. The first question asks, has there ever been a pro player that has inspired you? And off the top of my head, I would say no, but rather it was the pro scene as a whole that really inspired me to get better at the game. When I first discovered the LCS, I was instantly hooked, and I just thought it was so cool how there was like a sports league for a video game, which is something that I've never seen before. As the years went on, I just got more and more involved with the LCS and the pro scene, and it just really inspired me to get better at the game because one day I did want to go pro. That was a long time ago. These days my goals are quite a bit different. I have my focus more set on streaming and creating YouTube videos rather than maintaining a really high rank and being able to go pro. But definitely back in season 3-4 when I was first starting to play this game, the pro scene really did inspire me to play this game more and get better at this game. The next question asks, will you do a video on Brom or Thresh? So when it comes to champion guides, I have two issues at the moment. The first issue is it's preseason, which means there's a lot of things being changed right now. So if I make a champion guide at the moment, it has a high chance of being outdated in just a few weeks if they just make one small change to a rune page or to the builds. So that's probably the biggest reason as to why I won't be doing champion guides right now in this moment. In the future, I will definitely resume doing champion guides, but when it does come to champion guides, I need to be smart when I'm choosing which champion to do them on, because champion guides in comparison to any other kind of video on my channel definitely takes the longest amount of time to make. This is mainly because it can take up to 18 hours to make a video between doing research on the champion, the runes, the builds, being able to get a lot of practice in on the champion myself, so I'm not just going off of other people's history on the champion, and I can actually base my information off the things that I've experienced. So again, I do need to think a lot about what champions I decide to make guides for. When it comes to Brom, he doesn't have a super high play rate, so I don't see myself doing a video for Brom anytime soon. Thresh, on the other hand, is a champion that has a really high play rate, and I think a lot of people would benefit from a Thresh guide. So when the start of the next season does come around, I do plan on uploading a Thresh guide, as well as guides for a few other champions. This next question asks, what do you think of Rice support? And to be 100% honest with you, it doesn't sound all that great, and that's because I'm pretty much just a meta abuser. I like to allow players who know more about the game and who are better than me at the game kind of establish the meta, and then from there I can kind of figure out what's good and play those champions that they have already proven to be good, rather than being innovative and trying to find weird picks that may work in the support role, such as Rice support. But who knows, maybe down the road somebody will discover that Rice support is a secret OP pick and it becomes super meta, becomes super popular. But until somebody else discovers that, I would probably just advise not to play it, and personally I don't think it's all that great. This next question asks, between tilted players, boosters, smurfs, and rage quitters, the game seems very anti-fun. Is there anything that you could do to help overcome this wall? And my answer to this would be, first decide what it is that you find fun about League of Legends. I would say that there's two different ways that people usually have fun. The first way is the way that I personally find fun out of this game, and that is winning. It's just very straightforward. I find enjoyment out of winning games. That's why I abuse the meta, as I already said. That's why I try hard in my games. I take rank very seriously because I want to win, and by winning games, I'm enjoying myself playing the game, and that's what I find fun. On the other hand, there's people who find fun in just playing normal games, or playing a specific champion a lot of times, or playing with friends. That way is a lot more laid back and not as tense and not as serious, but it's definitely a way that a lot of people in the League of Legends community find themselves having fun. So at the end of the day, you really just have to figure out what it is that you find fun about this game. If you enjoy the ranked grind, and you enjoy trying to win as many games as possible and trying to climb to see just how high you can possibly get, then that's what you should be focusing on. And if you enjoy the other approach to having fun, which is something like playing normal games with friends, then that's also fine. Either option that you do decide to do, just be knowledgeable of the fact that there will be players that are tilted and boosting and smurfs and rage quitters in your games, because unfortunately that's just how the community is. You will see a lot of stuff like that in your game, and you kind of just have to put up with it. Don't pay too much attention to it. Just try to play the game out and move on from there. The next question asks, what is your champion pool, and how do you create a champion pool of 3 if you want to one trick? To answer the first aspect of this question, which is asking what is my champion pool, at the moment I don't really have a champion pool, and that's mainly because it is preseason right now, and during the preseason I'm really just trying to expand my champion pool. I'm trying to practice a lot of champions that I wasn't in the past very comfortable on. Stuff like Leona, stuff like Thresh, stuff like Pyke. These are not champions that I played a whole lot last season, so I'm playing them right now. That way when the start of season 9 does come around, I do have a larger champion pool, and then I can narrow it down from there. Creating a champion pool of 3 usually just consists of 3 champions that you feel both comfortable on, or champions that are really OP at the current state of the game, and it's going to be even better, of course, if that champion pool pool of 3 consists of champions that you are both comfortable on, and they are champions that are good in the meta. And finally, the last aspect of that question was revolving one-tricking. I've said this many times on my channel in the past, but I really don't believe that you should be trying to one-trick a champion. As you've already mentioned, a champion pool of 3 is going to be much more ideal, and it's going to allow you to be a little bit more flexible with your picks in champion select. The next question asks, I'm learning Rakan and I was wondering how to play passively or defensively. So Rakan is a champion that I've talked about quite a bit on my channel in the past, and if you've watched any of my previous videos on Rakan, then you already know this, but when it does come to playing Rakan, I always like to say that he has a very flexible playstyle, and that you can either play him very aggressively while trying to make plays and trying to carry the game that way, or you can play him a little bit more passive and focus on peeling. If you're looking to play your Rakan very aggressively, that means you're going to be using your combos mainly to engage and try to set up team fights and try to set up plays for the rest of your team. To answer your question though, if you're looking to play him passively, instead you're going to be using your combo mainly to peel off the front line from your carries rather than focusing your combo on the back line. And at the same time, of course, you're going to be using your E to shield your allies and your carries rather than using your E to disengage after engaging. And finally, if you are looking to play him passively, then make sure you are using your Q to lend a little bit of extra healing to your carries rather than using that aggressive for damage. The next question asks, I'm really confused on how to farm as a support properly. How do I do it? Well, when it comes to farming, support is the only role in the game that doesn't necessarily get to farm, but if you are asking how to generate gold as a support, the 2 main ways that you will be generating gold are through kills and assists and through your support item. Of course, kills and assists will come naturally throughout the game, so you don't have to think about that too much, but when it comes to your support item, you definitely have to give a little bit more thought towards it. If you buy Relic Shield, that means you need to be frequently auto-attacking the minions when they're at a low HP to proc that and generate gold that way. Caster minions will give the least amount of gold, melee minions will give a little bit more gold than that, and then of course cannon minions will give the most gold, which is why you want to put a large emphasis on last hitting the cannon minions with your Relic Shield proc. Spell Thieves is going to generate gold every time you trade, so make sure that you are trading frequently and procking that, but at the same time try not to be too overly aggressive just to try to proc that, because you will put yourself in bad situations. And finally, the Ancient Coin will generate gold just by being around minions whenever they die, so if you do take coin, maybe you put a little bit less of an emphasis on roaming, that way you can stay in lane more and be around the minions as they die, that way you can pick up some extra gold that way. The next question asks, when you are in a fight and your ADC has a low HP and the enemy is at a low HP, how do you both keep your ADC alive and allow them to get the kill? In a situation like this, I would highly advise to you that you just take the kill. Don't worry too much about taking the kill. I've said this again, this is something that I've said a lot on my channel in the past, but I really don't think kill stealing is a thing whatsoever. Of course, it will be more optimal and more ideal if a carry is able to get the kill, that way the gold goes towards them and they're able to do more damage. But at the end of the day, if your team gets the kill, even if the support gets the kill, that is still gold that is going to be generated on your team, and it is still going to benefit your team. So don't worry too much about taking kills. It's okay to take kills as a support, especially in a situation like this where in order to allow your ADC to live, you need to take the kill. By all means, take the kills. The next question asks, what are your thoughts on what is meta now? And unfortunately, this question was asked about 8.23, and at the time of recording this video is 8.24, but I'll still go ahead and answer the question for the meta right now. I strongly believe that now that Dark Harvest has been nerfed, it is not nearly as oppressive as it once was. It used to be a rune that just about any champion in the game could use, and that of course is going to be very unhealthy for the game. Instead, Dark Harvest is going to be used specifically for AP supports when it comes to the support role as a whole. So for champions like Zyra and Brand, Dark Harvest is still a really good option, and if you've watched my recent support tier list, then you know that I rank both of those champions up really high in the current meta. Following those champions though are going to be a mixture of utility picks and tank picks. This is stuff like Leona, Taric, Nami, and Alistar, and that's how I kind of view the meta at the moment. The next question asks, how does one stop being distracted in game? I always catch myself checking my phone, and personally I can say that I also suffer from this problem. Every time I die, or if I'm just walking back to lane or something like that, I do often check my phone, and it is a bad habit. My advice to both you and I guess to myself would be to instead spend this time thinking about the game. There is always something to be thinking about that can better prepare you for future situations to come. You can be looking at the timers for Dragon or Baron or Rift Herald to see when those come up. You could be looking at the enemy's items so that you can better prepare yourself for how much damage they're going to be able to output, or maybe if they have an active item that you need to prepare yourself for. I mean, I really could list a million different things that you could at any point in time be paying attention to. So what I would really just say here is, in order to prevent yourself from being distracted, distract yourself with something else, something simple like game knowledge that can better prepare you for future situations in the game that may come. The next question asks, do you think there's a real difference in skill within the ranked grades? Like, is there a really difference between gold 4 and gold 1, or is it just to stretch the grind out? I would say that as a whole, the ranks don't make too big of a difference, but there are definitely some major differences that you might see between ranks. For example, if you're in bronze all the way from what used to be bronze 5 to bronze 1, you're probably going to see very similar skill levels between Silver 5 and Silver 1, you're going to see similar skill levels. But from my personal experience, I would say that there's definitely some skill gaps between Masters and Challenger, as well as Diamond 5 through 1. Diamond 5 and 4 used to be quite a bit different from Diamond 3 to 1, and low Masters was also a major difference between Challenger. Again, this is all just personal experience, but I would definitely say that there is a significant gap in certain areas. As you might have noticed though, the areas that I did point out gaps in are areas that have a much smaller player base in comparison to the lower ranks, which have a lot of people, and the skill level all tends to just blend together there. The next question asks, since Thresh's lantern access terrain and enemies have to walk around it, does that mean that a Thresh lantern can also block a Scion ulti? And personally, I don't know. I've never really thought about this. I've never tested it out. So all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna read this question out loud. I'm gonna send it over to my editor, and hopefully at this point in the video, you're able to see some footage of that. So I'll just allow him to demonstrate whether or not that is the case. The next question asks, can supports carry game as AP burst? And I would definitely say yes, there are some AP champions like Brand and Zyra, the champions that I've mentioned earlier, that definitely have potential to carry games. But then at the end of your question, you give an example that mentions building full AP on Nami in order to carry a game. And for that, I would say no, there are specific champions in the game and are intended to dish out a lot of damage. Nami is not one of those champions though, so if you do build AP, you might do a little bit more damage, but overall you wouldn't be nearly as effective as you would be if you were building utility on Nami, because utility is what you are supposed to build in comparison to someone like Brand and Zyra, who are AP champions that are supposed to build a lot of AP damage. The next question asks, do you think Font of Life is worth using on Thresh? When it comes to this specific tree, Font of Life always has the higher win rate in comparison to Demolish, which is the other really popular option, and that's just the case across the board for just about every single support pick that has CC that is able to use Font of Life. Font of Life is going to be the higher win rate, but just keep in mind that there are some challenger players and some high elo players that are taking Demolish instead, and that's just because the turret plating does give a lot of gold, and by taking Demolish, you'll put yourself in a better situation to take down those plates and earn some more gold faster. So I would definitely say that they both work, but it's not worth taking Demolish at all if you're in a lane that is projected to lose, and that's because if you're going to lose the lane, you're not going to be pushing up to the tower and you won't be getting the most usage out of Demolish. So Font of Life definitely going to work in all situations. Demolish, on the other hand, only going to work in winning lanes that are able to push up into the tower. The next question asks, why am I still gaining 16 LP and losing 22? At the moment, during this preseason, it is really bad when it comes to the MMR and the LP gain and loss. There's a lot of people in the community that are complaining about this at the moment, me included. I have an account currently that is about minus 24 and plus 16, even though I won 7 out of my last 8 games. So I honestly don't have too much of an answer for you. Just try to be patient and try to understand that you're not the only person going through this, and that the community as a whole is having some trouble with their LP gain and loss due to some mistakes in the MMR. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, well, that should just about wrap up the end of this video. Don't forget to join the Discord using the link in the description to submit your questions in the Questions for Nasteey channel. Have a chance to be featured in a future Ask Nasteey video. I hope you were able to find this video helpful, and if you were, then be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. Leave a like and subscribe to help the channel grow. Also be sure to give me a follow over on Twitter and Twitch. Links to both of those will also be down in the description. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.